Why Sri Lanka Went Bankrupt, Part 3, the 1970s to 1990s. The 1970s and 1980s were a time of drastic changes in Sri Lanka's economy. The country was now facing a growing economic crisis, and the decisions made during these decades would have lasting consequences. In the 1970s, Sri Lanka's government took a sharp turn towards socialism. The aim was to reduce inequality, but the method focusing on government control of industries proved problematic. The government implemented policies to restrict private enterprise and increase state involvement in industries. While this initially aimed to redistribute wealth, it resulted in inefficiencies and a lack of investment. As the 1980s rolled in, Sri Lanka faced an economic downturn. To counter this, the government turned to foreign loans. But this would prove to be a double-edged sword. The government borrowed heavily from international sources to finance large-scale infrastructure projects. These loans created a heavy debt burden, and much of the borrowed money went into projects with questionable returns. By the 1990s, the debts accumulated in previous decades began to seriously affect the country's finances. Sri Lanka found itself unable to service its loans without further borrowing, and inflation skyrocketed. As inflation surged, the cost of living rose dramatically. By the end of the 1990s, Sri Lanka was on the edge of a financial collapse, with its debt load becoming unsustainable. In the next part, we'll dive into how the 2000s brought new challenges, and how Sri Lanka's reliance on foreign debt deepened the crisis further. Stay tuned, and don't forget to subscribe.